Over the past week on the campaign trail, President Trump has been pushing to gain even more support from the Hispanic community. While in Arizona and Nevada, the commander-in-chief held separate roundtable discussions with Latino leaders to try and get their take on their concerns that affect their communities. Our next guest actually attended one of those roundtables with the president in Las Vegas. Victoria Seaman. She's currently a Las Vegas City Councilwoman, and she's held all kinds of offices around Nevada. Hello. How are we doing, Victoria?
How are you, Dan? Thank you for having me.
I'm doing great. When I was reading your bio, and I think maybe years ago when I worked in Las Vegas, we had met, I saw that you were the first Latina elected to the state legislature in Nevada. Is that true?
The first Republican Latina.
Point that out as well. And since you bring that seat up, let's talk about the current seat you hold. You are a councilwoman in Las Vegas, holding the seat as a Republican that used to be held by your now Democratic Steve Sisolak governor in Nevada, correct? It was his old seat.
No, that was Steve Soroka's seat, and Steve Sisolak was a county commissioner.
Oh, okay. So he vacated that seat, and then it's like tic-tac-toe. This one moves, that one moves, and you got in. Great. I just like how when I lived there, and I recall, and I'm sure you can attest to this, Nevada is a very interesting state. That's why it's a swing state, because you have a lot of, I think, independent-minded voters. And you never know.
Correct. It
can go this way or that way. It can be a local race, a state race, the presidential race. You don't know what Nevadans are going to do. Is that kind of true?
Correct. That's correct. It's a swing state, and that's why there's a lot of play that goes on in Nevada.
Yeah. Well, since it's Vegas, it's a crapshoot every time to try and win there. Victoria, let's talk about the roundtable discussion. We were actually sitting in my office watching it a few days back, and I looked and I said, hey, I think I know her, because you were sitting just off to the president's left, and you guys had a long roundtable discussion. Talk about what the president discussed with you and some of the concerns that you had for Latinos living in Las Vegas and Nevada.
Well, what's very interesting is the president, I had met him before he was president and had a small roundtable with him, and he is exactly the same as he was before he was president. He is a good listener. He wants to know the issues and concerns, and the leaders that were there, mostly business owners, let him know what some of the issues are. They also let the president know how important his policies are to the Hispanic community. So it was an incredible roundtable. He's an incredible listener, and that is basically what we discussed.
Yeah, I think a lot of times Americans that are still maybe deciding right now who they're going to vote for because they're reading headlines or listening to the mainstream media get a different image. Because let's be real, the Twitter Donald Trump and the in the press room Donald Trump, when he's being just assaulted by these liberal journalists, is a different guy than the personality you get when he's sitting down and talking to real Americans like yourself. Do you kind of take that away too?
Absolutely. He really does care about what the issues are. And he doesn't claim to know every issue and claim to know what, like, for example, the Hispanic community thinks. And that is why he holds these roundtables. Before he was president and I was at a roundtable, it was the same thing. He really wanted to hear what your thoughts were on some of the Hispanic Latino issues. And I got to tell you, his policies, because he's a good listener, are not only great for Hispanics, but they're great for everyone. Lower taxes, lower regulations, just for the Hispanic community in their business dealings. This is what they're looking for. They're looking for good policy. They come to this country for a better opportunity. And President Trump has provided those opportunities, not only to Hispanics, but to everyone.
I'm so glad you brought that up because, you know, I've lived in the Southwest, East Coast, Midwest, you name it, and a lot of Hispanic folks that I've met, like you were just saying, Victoria, they're private business owners. They are coming here from Mexico, from other Latin countries to make it, to have that little slice maybe, or a big slice of the American dream. And so they're entrepreneurs. They start small businesses, and they don't want to be taxed to death. They don't want to have to move from maybe the state they've been in for decades because the taxes are increasing. And it seems like Trump is very, as we all know, pro-business. So if you're a Latino business owner out there, you should sure sure as heck want President Trump to continue on for the next 4 years. And it sounds like that's one of the main reasons you're supporting him.
Absolutely. And also because the lowest Hispanic unemployment ever under President Trump, and for most Americans. So his policies are what America needs. It's America first. And of course, that is exactly why I'm supporting him. All
right. Councilwoman Victoria Seaman from Las Vegas, thank you so much for joining us, talking a little bit about that roundtable with the Commander-in-Chief. It's going to be an interesting, 46 days or so that we have left. Victoria,
Correct.
come back on the show anytime. So glad to see you.
Good to see you.
And hopefully
Bye-bye.
your governor lets you open up Las Vegas soon so folks can get back to work.
I hope so.
Right?
I hope so.
Fingers crossed. I want to come out for a visit.
Okay.
Thank you, Victoria. All right, he made headlines while attending the RNC convention. That's when he stood up from his wheelchair and challenged all patriots out there to stand up for our flag and our country. North Carolina congressional candidate Madison Cawthorn will be joining Real America right after the break.